Hi, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon from wherever you are. Here we are having our next book club meeting, and Sri Vidya has gracefully agreed to present the book called TheoryU. I'd let her introduce herself. Uh, uh, Over to you, Sri
Sure,
Vidya.
sure. Thank you so much, Jesse. And hello, everyone. I am Sri Vidya. I am from Hyderabad, but I live in Pune. I come with almost 20 years of experience in the space from the space of organization development. I'm an independent consultant and a certified coach. I'm a professionally certified coach and an EQ fellow. So, this is a brief about me. I'm not an avid reader per se, but a few books that really are fascinating and interesting, I make sure that I complete them. But I don't read so much as such. So this is brief about me. And Jesse, can we directly jump into the? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
perfect. Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. And let me, before I have a small deck that I would want to present when I'm talking about TheoryU. But before that, I just want to give you my journey of how this happened and what difference did it make when I started in. So this was introduced or recommended by one of our colleagues in the CJ group itself, Shri, who is an active member in the group. And that's how I happened to buy this book. But when I started reading, believe me, it was just going beyond my head. I had to read every chapter almost twice or thrice to be able to understand, absorb, and really reflect on what it means. But when I reached, I think, chapter 5 or 6, that's when I got to know that they also offer online training, which is free of cost, on the same concepts of Theory U. The moment I joined that course, that's when this book made more sense to me. And this course is available for free for all of us. It opens up in September. If anyone want to enroll, you can just go through it and enroll it. And once I enrolled into the course, I tried to understand what actually the author meant when he was talking about each one of these concepts that I'm going to briefly touch upon in the next half an hour, 45 minutes. He has given so many practical methodologies to apply not only in maybe in organizations, but also in coaching and for ourselves. That's what attracted my attention and made me go deeper. And now they are doing a session on presencing, which is live. The last session is on 26th June. That's happening. And also, what there is a book on presencing also, which is published, which is probably a part two, if I may call it, of Theory U, the extension of Theory U, and going much deeper into this Theory U. With that context, let me just share my screen. These are the slides that I have picked up from the Presencing Institute website itself. So there's nothing new that I have created. I had to create. Just confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So these are a couple of slides picked up from what the Presencing Institute they themselves use, and I'll try to go a little deeper into wherever I can. I want to make this more interactive. So if you have any questions at any point in time, any reflections you want to share, feel free to keep unmuting yourself and chatting. We are a very small group. I think we can definitely handle that conversation. So while we go deeper or while we start to understand, the first question that I want to ask yourself, all of us here, who is your greatest enemy? Who do you think is your greatest enemy?
Okay, it's our own self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say slave to your own mind.
Same here. I would say our own self.
Absolutely. Probably it's our own self. But when we are answering this question, what kind of dynamics did it create within us?
Contradictions and
Mm-hmm.
challenges that you
Right.
face every day and you grow
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Absolutely. What else?
I think also our past experience, the things that, our worldview.
Hmm.
For me, it creates a dynamic of defense. When I think of enemy, I
Hmm.
immediately think of a defense.
Right. So here we are trying to defend ourselves from our own self. Isn't that strange? And isn't that the most difficult part for any one of us? And just imagine if you are asking this question to a client who probably is not exposed so much to coaching or who is not exposed to so much of self-reflection. Where do they see those answers coming from? It might be a different perspective for them. Yeah, you were saying something.
Prior to coaching, I would say that who's your greatest enemy would be my competitor, in business, or my competitor for the job, my peer, competing for the job.
Right,
It's more
absolutely.
external looking.
More external looking. That's very true. So here, this book entirely revolves around trying to understand that and moving ourselves from that phase where we probably see as our greatest enemy to a phase where what can we see and imagine what could be the emerging future for us. If we do not consider ourselves as our greatest enemy, how do we see ourselves? How do we see the future emerging for us?
Who are we if we reach our optimum?
I would say when we talk about self being the enemy and the constant struggle and to live life and to have purpose to go on, I think that itself would be the future me, building myself, whatever challenges and whatever outcomes that may be, keep moving forward. And that would be the future me.
Absolutely. So, but saying this or talking about this is much easier than walking that path, right? As coaches, we always strive in our sessions to help our clients realize what their future would look like. But helping them reach that future is something which is a gray area always, either for us or when we are acting as coaches and working with our clients as well. So, this book very beautifully gives us those tips and techniques which probably can help us as individuals or as coaches or as a system or organization navigate from that self space where we probably are in those doubts, inhibitions, limitations, challenges to a phase where we probably can see the future emerging, co creating the future, co evolving together. And this book beautifully articulates how do we navigate that path.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So excited to know more about this book then?
Yep.
Perfect. So in the author's own words, we live in an era where there is a lot of conflict. There are massive institutional failures. Wherever we see, in the other call I was doing the other day, we were discussing about the aircraft crash. The moment you see that news once, your entire social media is bombarded with the same kind of news. Negativism spread everywhere. There is only those news or those articles or the images which create a lot of dissatisfaction, lot of unrest, lot of anxiety within us. And it is the important in that scenario for all of us to see how can we stop looking at that negativism, absorbing that negativism around us, and try to be present in the moment where we are more looking towards the future, not now. So this is what the author himself has said in his own words. And now, if I now go into the depth of one layer of what he says that there are two sources of learning. One, can anyone take any guess? What could be the two sources of learning? What could be the learning cycle?
Failure is one source of learning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Reading books in books.
Okay. Okay. Reading books could be the other source of learning.
I
See,
would say,
author, yeah, please. Shimi, go ahead.
yeah, for
Shimji,
me,
sorry.
learning is either by doing or by making mistakes. So these are
By making
two.
mistakes. Okay. So if I were to club these two in author's language again, learning by making mistakes is from learning from the past experiences. Learning by doing is something that you would learn from what emerges as a future. We often act, we observe, we reflect, we plan and move ahead. We learn from the past. There is other type of learning, which you also said, learning from the future as it emerges, that is being in the present moment, observing what is happening to me, accepting what is happening around, and navigating to be curious to see what is going to come forward. That, in essence, is the term that he has given as presencing. If we go furthermore, he tried to connect this with the blind spot of leadership. As leaders, most of us, our first focus is whenever we are talking about failures, whenever we are talking about what has gone wrong, we are looking at the results. What happened? And how did it happen? Right? We just dig layers into it. And we also see because of who did this happen. But this who is the core source, the creator of the result. If I look at myself, I have created a particular methodology, I have created a particular process, I have created a particular way of working, of how to do things, and I got the results. So basically, whatever I'm seeing as results is manifested within me already. And that is something we generally do not reflect more on. We do not generally, think more on. The inner place from where we operate is what drives the ultimate results. I'll again pause here. Any reflections, thoughts?
Yes, I do have a question here. When we talk about who, we talk about our inner space. Where do you get the fuel from to keep on doing it? Where do you get the motivation to keep operating on a level where you have manifestations and to build your future?
The answer to this probably lies in your previous statements that you have made, the purpose. When I want to see how do I emerge? What emerges for me in future? If I'm able to see that, that is where the fuel comes in, probably. And let us see what the author has to say further to understand whether the fuel is in the right direction or not. And what might happen subconsciously, and that's why it's called the blind spot, probably subconsciously within us, where probably we are at a at a superficial level or at a factual level, we are assuming that this is what we want, but there are internal fears within us which probably are making us take those steps in different directions. Let's see how the author has decoded this. Uh, the success of the intervention depends on the inner condition of the intervener. I'm sure all of us agree with this. If I have the right intent, right will, maybe the failures are only temporary. I will ultimately reach the goal that I want. Building furthermore. So this is how he describes the TheoryU. And you can see there is a gap in between, and this is an intentional gap that is created, that is made here. Many a times when we try to respond to change, we manifest action. We are looking at quick fixes. Oh, this is not the way it has to happen. So we try to react immediately. And we may look at making changes, redesigning our approach. We try to structure it differently. We try to reframe. This is the outcome. We try to reframe our values, our beliefs. We make perceptions. We say this is right, this is wrong. That is how all of us are built. All of us are, today, whatever we are because of our experiences in life. We have made some changes to our own belief system based on the experiences we had in life. We always try to reframe ourselves. And thus, we try to regenerate, or we try to create some kind of energy within us to reshape, re-evolve, re-emerge, and respond to the future. But if we are able to reverse this process, where first we are able to regenerate, we are able to take a pause, understand the source, reflect on our values and belief system, then build and move towards solutioning, the result might be really very different. To help us understand that further, the author came up with 3 moments of you. 1, observe, observe, observe. Why it's 3 times? Don't just look at your observation at a basic factual level. Try to go deeper. Try to gather as much information as possible from multiple sources that are available. Retreat and reflect. This is where the gap that you see in the you plays a major role. Make sure there is stillness. You are observing everything. Give that time and space to absorb whatever you have observed. Spend some moment of stillness and then act in an instant. Any thoughts here before I move ahead?
Srividya, here observe is something which we know. Probably we can observe our senses. Allow inner knowledge to emerge. So, what do I need to do for that?
Once you have observed, once you have gathered information, it is time for us to probably pause. Take our own time to reflect. Do not act immediately. Even in when we are talking about emotional triggers, we talk about the 6 seconds pause, which will help us probably respond in a different way than reacting to a particular situation. The author strongly recommends about maintaining that stillness. That stillness probably could be for some seconds, for some minutes, for some days, till the time you see that there is that inner knowledge, there is that comfort with what you have taken as information. And even for observing, Jesse, author came up with different levels of observation. Let me go into that, and then probably you would be able to better make sense of how do you
Srividya,
yeah.
this reflect retreat, this one
Mhm.
might get confused. I might get confused with overthinking.
Uh-huh.
So how is it different?
Okay, interesting. So what the author suggests here, Jesse, is when you are observing and when you are thinking, he has recommended multiple approaches when you are reflecting and retreating. He says, try to look at journaling. Try to look at forums where you can discuss out what you have learned or what you have observed. Forums where you have similar people of similar thought process, people who are working on similar kind of subjects, which will help you gather information or come to conclusions. Reflective journaling might help you avoid the situation of overthinking. Okay, let that pause continue and let me proceed. Let me see if something emerges for you after my next slide. So when we are trying to observe, he says, look at it from three lenses. When you are observing, observe with an open mind, observe with an open heart, and observe with an open will. Will is something that comes at the end, which can very well be integrated with your retract and reflect. When we are observing, we might begin with downloading. What do I mean by that? It could probably be downloading from the past patterns. Whatever I have been experiencing for a long time. It might be by seeing, by sensing. Many a times during observation phase itself, what might happen is I might be suspending whatever I'm seeing. I may discard. No, this cannot be like this. No, I might be wrong. We always try to give ourselves excuses. We always try to redirect ourselves. Okay, maybe I'm looking at it from a wrong lens. Maybe if I'm someone else, I might look at it in a different way. So at the observation stage itself, we may be getting into a lot of judgment. And that's where the open mind, open heart, and open will plays a very vital role. When you're observing, you're just collecting information. Let the information be in whatever shape, format, structure, whether you accept it, whether you agree to it, immaterial. Keep on collecting it. Once you have collected that information, just stay with it. Stay with it, understand the purpose. Understand what is that, what is the information telling you? Spend some time with it. Try to take a pause. In this moment of stillness, this is what meditation is, right? Many a times. In this moment of stillness, there might be many things that might come into our mind. Let them come, let them go. Once you have passed that phase, that's when you would have a vision. Things would be more clear to you. You would be prototyping a new you within you, because now you're no longer the same person that you were at this point in time. And then the actions that you perform at that point in time might be something very different.
Srividya, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Reflecting, observing ourselves deeper down, and letting go of things and being present to what we're looking at or our purpose, and letting it comes, the stillness and all that. What if the fear is of the time passing by and the contradictions are then
Mamta, your voice is cracking. I don't know if it's only for
being
me or
human.
Mamta, your
This
voice
is a
is
very,
cracking. Mamta.
you hear me?
Yeah,
yeah, now.
better.
Mm.
Okay. So my question is, when, as a person or as a coachee, we are observing, reflecting, going
Losing you
down
again,
to the
Mamta.
base of the root of the problem, and having that stillness.
Mamta, you're gone on mute.
Yeah, please go ahead. I think my internet connection is not good. I'm so sorry
Okay.
about that.
That's
But
fine. Mamta, put your question in the chat bot or my chat window. Will respond.
Yeah. So my question actually is that from the time of getting to know your basics and understanding the purpose, and then having that stillness of not reacting, and then coming down to you know uh, crystallizing or getting the vision, the time gap that it might take sometimes, it just, that time factor is also a demotivator. How do we get to that,
yeah, very good question,
bridge
Mamta.
that gap?
Yeah, yeah. Very good question, Mamta. So here, the two questions which might guide us when we are in that moment of stillness is who is myself and what is my work? If I'm able to break down probably the purpose that I'm looking at into smaller pieces, I might reduce that stillness. To answer your question further, the author talks about three voices many a times that might obstruct us: voice of judgment, voice of cynicism, and voice of fear. Voice of judgment might many a times tell us, okay, this can't happen, this can't, this does not make sense, this will never happen, we tried this before, this will not work, this will fail. So these are all the questions which might come to us when we are into that stillness, when we are into that mode of reflecting. And this is what is important for us to accept and navigate further. If it requires a longer time, probably a longer time, yes. It requires. It is not a time-bound questionnaire that we are supposed to solve or an exam that we are supposed to give. It's our life we are talking about. So unless and until we are in terms with who we are and what do we want to do, it might not be very easy for us to create that reverse you. So once we are there, so what the author says, how do you go about uncovering each of these stages is co-initiate. Try to uncover the intent by listening to others, by talking to yourself, by trying to understand what the life calls you to do. Co-sense it. Connect with people, connect with places, connect with system around you. And there are beautiful exercises the author recommends here, like empathy walk, nature walk. Try to observe and reflect. Try to sense the environment around you. And see if you are a different self when you are probably going around for a walk or a hike, when you're meeting people that you like. Connect with your source of inspiration and will. Give yourself that time where you can tolerate, let me use this word tolerate, your own internal voices of judgment, cynicism, and fear. That is the core of presencing. That is the moment of stillness that you're gifting for yourself, which probably in today's world, most of us don't. Then there will be situation where you'll be able to co-create from your past self and your present self together to create your new future and co-evolve. Any thoughts, questions at this stage?
Vidya, can you give an example to explain all these things?
Yes, I
Co-initiating.
will. Yeah, I will. Let me show you this with an example of listening. Right? If we just talk a very simple example of listening, many a times we probably are at level 1 or level 2. And I did this exercise myself for almost 21 days. And I could see that in 21 days, I was hardly at level 3. That too for a few moments, maybe. Level 4 is far-fetched for me. So when we are listening, we probably are listening to confirm and validate what we know, what we don't know. We are looking at listening as a way to judge our own self, confirm our opinions. 90% of the times, probably we are tuned to do that. Okay, whenever we see some interesting information, what we try to do is, okay, we try to verify the facts. We try to look into the data. We try to look into information that's available outside to validate, okay, whether it is correct or not. We want to rule out. Listening at level 3 is empathetic listening, where we are able to put ourselves in others person's shoes. This is very easier said than done. We try to establish an emotional connect with the other person. Maybe when I'm doing this example or explanation, I am in a different set of mind. I have a different challenge that I am dealing with. But people sitting across in the room, they have different challenges that they are dealing with. How much I'm able to understand your challenges and I'm able to respond and reciprocate. If I'm able to do that, the next level is trying to listen to the core, where I am able to just do the conversation for the sake to see where it emerges. I'm just curious. I'm as much unknown as you are. I'm operating from a space of two adults talking to each other, two matured adults talking to each other. Both of us are at same knowledge, same level of understanding, same, I'm respecting the other person as he is, and I'm able to see what emerges in the conversation. I don't have any expectations. I probably will be able to do it, navigate through these levels if I am operating with an open mind, open heart, and open will. Many a times the destination is already fixed. When I'm sitting in this session, I have an agenda. You have an agenda. You want to learn about something. I have an agenda. I want to share what I have learned. I want to impress everybody. We already have a destination. So the way we communicate, the way we try to interact is focused towards that destination. And so if I go back to the slide, am I giving that room to co-initiate, co-sense? Are we observing the same things together in this room? The answer is no. Jesse, does that make any sense right now? But on the other side, if all of us sitting in the room are with the common intent of experiencing the TheoryU, just as an example, probably the way we would interact with this topic itself would be different. So if I have to relate it in the coaching conversations, I'm just explaining the way I am able to relate it. All of you might, each one of you might have a different perspective to it. If I'm sitting in a coaching conversation without any agenda, I just want to meet my client and see what emerges. I am truly partnering with them, which means I probably am operating at generative listening level. I'm just curious. At times, I'm empathetic. So for us to practice this, what the author has given as example is when we are downloading, when we are trying to be listening to others at the first level of listening, what we might be doing is we might probably be operating as we being the source of information. So I know something and I want to validate what I know. Let me put the pointer here. You can see the first circle, right? The dot is me. And I want to validate what's happening around me. So I'll be talking nice, I'll be polite, I'll use all the proper phrases. I would just want to listen to what I want to listen. I'm happy listening to what I want to listen. The next level of listening probably is when I consider myself as the part of the cohort, where I would get probably into a debating mode because there are divergent views. I'm trying to either adapt, agree, or disagree in the conversation. I'm a part of the conversation. If I put myself outside, and probably this is where, we may be in most of the coaching conversations when we do not know the context of the client, we try to do a dialogue, reflective dialogue. We try to inquire their viewpoints. We try to help them reflect. And presencing, generating is about moving outwards and clearly observing the whole system. Any thoughts? What the author has also done is he tried to replicate the same model at an individual level, at a group level, at an organization level, and also at a global action level. So if you look at the same aspect of listening, of downloading, as an individual, the first level is we download the thoughts, habits. When we are doing conversations with others, we try to be nice. We want to hear only what we want to hear. We try to wear that mask of being polite. At an organizational level, there is bureaucracy that can be related to it. And there is hierarchy where the power is centrally located. So in this book, TheoryU, the author tried to replicate this model at an individual level to an ecosystem level as well. For us to experience this, the author has also given, as I said, multiple models. One such model is, why am I forgetting the name? It's called SPT. think, social presencing tool. I don't remember the full form. It's SPT. It talks about involving your whole body when you are listening to others, involving your whole self when you are trying to solve a problem, when you're trying to observe, when you're trying to see what new emerges out for you. And as a part of that process, the author looks at, he gives an example of using your body as a tool. For example, express. So, whatever the thought that you're stuck in, express that thought through gestures. You need not talk about it, you need not articulate it, because many a times the challenges or the difficulties that we are facing within are something which we cannot articulate it properly. So the author asks us to express it through actions, through our body. Say, for example, a thought that is stuck within me, I'm feeling that, you know, it's very tight, it's holding me, or it's very hard in my head. I'm just holding it like this. So express it with your body, observe what is happening to you, stay with that stillness. While journaling is one methodology, this is another methodology that the author recommends. Is we talk about visualization techniques, right, in our coaching. In visualization techniques, we try to take the client to a simulated environment. We try to ask them to visualize that they are walking in a space, etc., etc. In this methodology, what the author suggests is try to use your own body to express you are stuck, the thought that you are stuck with. Maybe, a closed fist. Observe each and every part of that stuck that you have demonstrated. Say, for example, you're seeing my hands. It's a closed fist. And if I am doing a closed fist, my thumb is inside. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Just stay with it as long as you can stay. The beauty with human minds, human beings, is that we cannot stay in a problem for a longer time. Each one of us want to come out of the problem. And when you are trying to come out of the problem, try to look at every small gesture that your body is making, fighting to come out of that situation. So here, for example, I'm making a gesture of a closed fist to express my stuck. I'm staying with it, and slowly, after some time, because I have a pain here, I have a pain that I'm experiencing here, I may want to loosen it a little. So don't loosen it immediately, but take a very slow movement of how do you want to move it. Right? Is it giving you some kind of indication? Is it giving you some kind of solution to your problem? Just try to stay with that. Because the expression that you're doing with your body is something that you are experiencing, that is the problem that you're facing. You're expressing your problem with the expression that you're showing. Stay with that expression. Slowly try to understand how your body is moving from one level of that pain to a little comfort zone. What is the time it is taking? What's the transition it is taking? What does it mean? When I'm giving this expression, I gave it with complete sense. I gave it purposefully. So when I'm making those movements, I might not know, but let me stay with it and see, is there any purpose to it? Is there any meaning out of it? Am I able to move out of the stuck? Am I able to see any solutions coming out for me? So here I am using my hand as a tool to observe. And I'm observing. So when I'm using my hand, at the beginning, probably I'm here. The moment I'm observing, I am moving to this space slowly. And the moment I'm observing further, allowing it to just make its own movement, I'm just trying to observe it from multiple sources, all different dimensions. So I'm using my own self as a tool to navigate from the thought process that I have, from the problem that I have, to generate a new solution for my own self. I'll take a pause. Any questions?
Probably too much overwhelming information.
Understand. I
Yeah.
understand. As I told you, for me to read this book, I had to read every chapter almost 3 to 4 times and a course.
Oh,
I
Yeah,
I
I did
joined
the course online. Yeah.
I joined the course. I found it very challenging.
Okay. You did the MIT
Yeah,
wala course, Sandeep? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I need some. I mean, it was. I didn't read the book. That was my mistake. Did you read the
Hmm.
full,
Yeah. I read the
the
full book.
the shorter book or the longer book?
Uh, okay. I don't know. I read the TheoryU book. That's what I know. I don't
Yeah.
know if
So
there is a longer version of it.
yeah, there is a full version. That is a little. Yeah, there are two.
Okay.
So yeah, just. But yeah, I mean, it's quite.
Yeah,
it,
it's quite
it takes its
fascinating.
own time to practice and.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very true.
Shivdek, is it anyway related to say some diseases? Say I have some disease. Can this be used to resolve? Means what is the use cases for this area?
Interestingly, Jesse, the use case for this is in their website itself. They've published multiple use cases for it. It is changing a system, changing a complete community, changing the thought process. So there are multiple use cases that they have given in their website, presencinginstitute.org. And there are beautiful exercises that are given, Jesse, in the. Let me just show you if I can show you that. Just give me a second. Even if you haven't completed your course or if you haven't enrolled to the course, let me just share my screen. You see this website, Presencing Institute website, where you see the core content. There are different tools that are given in the resources. These are all the tools that they have recommended. And it is freely accessible for each one of us, including the listening assignment that I was talking about. Every day you can go here and journal and share your experience. What percentage do you think you have spent towards factual listening, empathetic listening, generative listening, and you can write your own notes. So it can help you for journaling. Guided journaling. There is a guided manual that is given to you how you can start journaling and how it can help you. Case clinic is something that I have experimented with a few closed group members of CJ group.
What is that?
Case
So
clinic is, when you bring in a problem statement together in the room, we are co-partners by where we just explain how do we see that problem statement. We don't offer any solutions, but we just explain how do we see the problem that you have explained. And that itself can give you multiple perspectives. Yeah. So the intent of this 45-minute session is definitely not to uh, give you the entire gyan of the book. I'm nobody to give you that. I'm still in that learning phase. Probably I just touched the tip of the iceberg. But the idea is to tell you how exciting this tool is and how powerful it can be if you are able to implement it in our coaching for our own self development or for coaching, either. And just to touch upon the last point, it would be half. I know we are running out of time, but just to complete it, the author also talks about the reverse of you, the opposite of presencing, which is absencing. When we are getting stuck in that uh, dichotomy of the negative things that are happening around us, We are just silencing ourselves, we are blaming others, we are trying to bully. This is all a reflection of, all the negativity that's happening around. And we are not in the moment. We are absencing ourselves in the moment. And that could be the biggest problem because we are stuck. There is no open mind, no open will, no open heart. And that is the grave problem. So this is about it that I wanted to share. Thank you so much, and I'm open for any further questions.
Yeah, so Vidya, I wanted to understand how you can relate to coaching. That is my, and that will, I think, help many others. I mean, uh, yeah. So I tried. I also joined a group, but I think beyond case clinic and uh, people couldn't move. I mean, everybody finds it. Case clinic is a very guided method,
Guided,
but
yes,
after that, people get
correct,
stuck and
correct. So the aspect that helped me, Sandeep, in coaching is practicing generative listening. Many a times we are stuck with asking the right questions. And probably that is what MCC is all about, right? MCC is not about asking questions or, trying to gather more information from the client. It's about helping the client co-create whatever they're looking at. So I am trying to practice that a lot. Journaling is a very effective methodology that I could find, which could help the client again, also for us. And prescriptive journaling. So here in this TheoryU, they have recommended certain questions when you're creating your journal. So that I found to be very, very powerful and very useful to help the client uh, journal. So every time, depending on where they are stuck, I am trying to give them those kind of questions or triggers for them to start journaling. The third thing that helped me is, apart from visualization exercises, there is a 3D modeling tool that is recommended by the client, by the author. Uh, so even that I found to be helpful for the client to articulate their problem statement. 3D modeling or seeding tool, right? So these are the things that really were helpful. And SPT is something that I could not practice. I practiced it for myself with the social presencing theater. I practiced it myself, and I am trying to do it with people where I'm able to do in-person sessions. I'm not experienced yet, but I did that online version of training for SPT. So I'm just practicing it with closed group. Again, this is for someone who is not able to express out in as many words their challenges. But SPT, mostly if I am in person with them is when I'm practicing it. One-on-one. So these are the tools that I found really effective in coaching as well.
Yeah. So actually, generative listening is something. Actually, as a coach, also, I mean, when we are listening deeply at the level, then we can create the generative listening for the client.
Right.
I mean that is what we do together. Yeah. So that happens in that tool also, which is I think that case clinic.
Case clinic, yeah. It happens in case clinic and also the circle of coherence.
Okay.
Circle.
Just a quick time check. Maybe one
Yeah.
more question we can handle and then we'll close. Anyone wants to go?
I have to say that I'm a fan. Thank you for sharing this summary with me. It's really an eye opener. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamta.
Okay.
Yeah, I see Avinash's comment. A lot of it was overwhelming to understand. Yeah, it is definitely very, very overwhelming to understand. And unless and until you experience it, or you try to get a little deeper, it is all Greek and Latin. Believe me, when I was reading this book, until and unless I enrolled myself to the course, everything was Greek and Latin to me.
So what is the sequence we should go? We should first read the book and then attend the course. Is that what it
Yes,
is?
yes.
Yeah, at
Read the
least
book
I
and
also
then
feel.
attend the course.
I attended the course directly because there was a lot of enthusiasm by some of my members from CJ only. But then I realized they lost interest and I found it very difficult to be, I used to be the only one there in the group many times and, so
Right. This course again opens up in September.
yeah, September to May.
September to May. Yeah, it is live.
Okay. Okay. So thank you so much, Srividya.
My pleasure.
So yeah, so we now have a idea on what it is. Will whoever are interested, let's pursue it, and whoever are not interested, we can always drop. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
So
everyone.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Srividya.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.